Guyana has an extensive COVID-19 vaccination campaign. For months, no efforts were spared in securing thousands of vaccines so that all eligible adults, and more recently, children older than 12 years old, could be vaccinated and therefore protected from experiencing the more severe and life-threatening symptoms of COVID-19. Still, the rollout of these COVID-19 vaccines, it's not a perfect situation. There are some challenges, particularly with record keeping and the use of digital technologies. Take the experience of a 27-year-old porter who lives in a community on the east bank of Demerara in Region 4. To protect his identity, he will be called Mohammed. About 6 weeks ago, he misplaced his COVID-19 vaccination card, and the paper-based system of record keeping has made it difficult for him to get a replacement. When he first realized that he misplaced his card, he returned to the vaccination site on the east bank of Demerara, where he received his COVID-19 vaccine. For context, before receiving a COVID-19 vaccine, health workers or volunteers write the individual's personal information on a long sheet of paper and on the individual forms. According to information provided to the newsroom, those sheets are stored in a central bond in Kingston, Georgetown, so health workers and volunteers at the vaccination site did not have the handwritten records to verify whether Mohammed had been vaccinated. As such, he was told to make contact with the health ministry. On September 29th, after making several attempts to call the ministry and get a replacement, he opted to visit the ministry's Brickdam head office. There, he engaged some of the healthcare workers and officials administering the COVID-19 vaccines, but he was told that he should visit the ministry's bond in Kingston. He visited the bond later that day, but to no avail. Subsequently, his information was forwarded to an official at the ministry. That official told the newsroom that the matter would be addressed. By Wednesday, October 5th, however, Mohammed still could not receive a replacement card or even any sort of verification that he was indeed vaccinated. He related to the newsroom what had happened. "I called yesterday at Kingston and some guy took my information and said wait 1 month. He said there's no information for me concerning my card." On October 1, the newsroom asked Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony about the process of getting a new vaccination card if one was misplaced or stolen.
Well, if you misplace your card, you have to apply to the ministry to get a new one. And it will take some time because we'll have to go through the books and to make sure that you were vaccinated in the first place.
CoWIN, a medical database software, has been helping India track the rollout of its massive vaccination program. The government of India has offered this software to Guyana, but that acquisition has not yet occurred, and as such, Guyana is still relying on its solely paper-based system. For Mohammed, that means that he will have to wait indefinitely before he can get another card issued to him. He takes comfort in knowing that he is protected against experiencing the more serious and life-threatening forms of the disease COVID-19, but it is not only the health impact he has to consider. Unless he takes intermittent PCR COVID-19 tests, he would not be able to freely access most buildings here in Guyana without his proof of vaccination. Otherwise, international travel might be constrained too, since countries are rolling out vaccination requirements for international travel. Mohammed's case is not an isolated one. It is the plight of many people who have misplaced their vaccination cards. And to remedy this, Mohammed, who is already vaccinated, asked a journalist at the newsroom whether he should simply take another first dose. There are health concerns associated with getting vaccinated again, however. These concerns are worse for people who are already fully vaccinated but opt to get vaccinated again with another set of vaccines. Dr. Jacqueline Gingri, a Guyanese scientist living in Canada, explained that this process of becoming fully vaccinated with another vaccine, even though you're already vaccinated with one set of vaccines, is known as revaccination. And she advises against this.
I don't think it's necessary. I think it's more important to get greater vaccine coverage globally, as opposed to giving people an extra set of an entire new series of vaccines when they've already been vaccinated. That is not going to get us out of the pandemic. What's going to get us out of the pandemic is to have high levels of immunity in the population and high levels of immunity in our communities to start with. So we need more people to get the first and second dose of vaccines where applicable.
Now, with concerns emerging over international travel restrictions and whether some people who are vaccinated with some types of vaccines but not others may not be able to travel, the newsroom has been made aware that there are some people who are taking advantage of the challenges that exist within the system. Mohammed has not yet gone to get revaccinated since he has been apprised of the potential risks that may be associated with doing so. But that does not mean that others have been dissuaded. So the newsroom visited a vaccination site and tried to see if this would actually happen. Here is what happened. On October 6th, a vaccination site in Georgetown was visited by this journalist. There, school children were receiving their Pfizer vaccines in one section and adults in another. At the site, the fully vaccinated journalist approached the volunteer at the registration desk to start the process. The woman filled up the registration form, going through the checklist and asking the necessary questions about symptoms, medical conditions, previous vaccines taken, and other treatment received. When asked if any other vaccine had been taken before, the journalist lied and said no. The journalist, however, was actually fully vaccinated with the Sputnik V vaccine since early May, and that paperwork is kept somewhere in the Kingston Bond, and it could verify that. After providing that information, the personal information was written on one of the vaccination cards, or the blue books, and on a long sheet of paper. The vaccination card was given before the journalist could get vaccinated, while the information kept on the sheet of paper was for the ministry's record-keeping purpose. It is important to note that the journalist gave the same information, that is, name, the national ID number, cell phone number, and date of birth, that was all given before when the journalist went for their initial vaccination, and that is recorded on the vaccination card the journalist already possesses. Because it is a paper-based system and not a digital database, that did not matter. After successfully registering, the journalist was escorted to the designated area for vaccination. The journalist was put to sit and prepped for the vaccine. Knowing the potential risks and that the aim of going undercover was not to get vaccinated, but to test the system, the journalist declined the vaccine. The nurse who was about to administer the vaccine collected the newly prepared vaccination card and let the journalist go. The paper-based system evidently has its challenges. It is unclear whether communicating the risks of revaccination or simply moral suasion are enough to dissuade people from exploiting the system. Meanwhile, a frustrated Mohammed laments that he cannot get his vaccination card replaced as yet. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vishani Raghavir.